Hey guys, it's Lake Shia. I know it's been a while and I'll get into that later, but I wanted to tell you guys about my birth story because as you can see, Miss Carlia is here. Okay, so March 19th in the early morning, about 2 a.m., I started to have really bad, I started to have contractions. They got really bad about 9 a.m. and I started to time them. They're about 6 minutes apart. And finally, I told my husband, because our hospital is about an hour away, I told him that we needed to go. So we went to the hospital, and I dilated to 4.5. They put us into a room pretty much instantly. And if you guys can remember, I had every intention on having a natural birth, but I got stuck at 6 and couldn't go past 6 for some reason. So they busted my water, and they put me on some pain medicine. I can't remember what it is right now though. And then later I decided that I wanted to get an epidural because they were so close together. It was too painful. It's just they were so close together and I was getting exhausted. So I decided to get an epidural. They had to do the epidural twice because the first time they hit a blood vessel and then the second time they did it. And then it was pretty much right after that her heart rate dropped. And they had to put me on oxygen and then put me on all fours. And imagine not being able to feel the bottom half of your body and having to be on all fours. It was really scary. They were trying to get the pressure off of her. Her heart rate kept dropping and I kept having to be put on oxygen or being moved back and forth, and nothing was really working. And finally I dilated to 10 and I pushed for 2 hours and nothing happened. I was in labor for over 15 hours, and finally the doctor was like, look, we're going to have to do a C-section. She's stuck. So, yeah. So they took me into the room. My husband was getting ready, and her heart rate dropped again while we were getting ready for the C-section, and they just went ahead and cut me. And they had to cut me a little bit more than what they would have because she was really good in there. They finally got her out and she squalled and everything was good, and they took her over to the table and they found out that she had pooped in there and it had gotten to her lungs and made her have a partially collapsed lung. So I didn't get to hold her, I didn't get to do skin to skin, nothing like that. They ended up taking her from me and took her to the NICU. She was in the NICU for, it was Tuesday morning when we had her at 2:27. She stayed in the NICU until Wednesday evening. And that was a really scary time for us. I couldn't breastfeed, so I had to pump to get her some nourishment, but they actually had also supplemented her with formula, so she got used to the nipple on the bottles and wouldn't take to me. Even if I had a shield on, it was like she just did not want me. Yeah. Having a C-section and trying to take care of a baby in the hospital is so hard because they tell you to rest when they do, but people are coming in 24/7, and it's like as soon as you get her to sleep or you get any sleep, there's somebody else coming in taking your blood pressure or checking her temp or something. It was always something. We finally got to leave that Friday, and they finally gave us to go ahead with her lung and everything, and they told us to follow up with a physician, which we did, and at that time they told us that her lung was okay. It's scary when they're in the NICU. My husband didn't even get to hold her until she got into the room, and every time we held her we just cried and cried. I was still pumping and supplementing with formula. I had to switch her formula a few times, and I pumped until she was 5 weeks old, and then I just kind of dried up, so I don't pump anymore, but it's okay because I'm able to spend more time with her. It was a really traumatic and scary experience, especially when you go in thinking that you're going to do everything natural and you go against everything that you said, which is okay. It's okay. She's here. That's really all that matters. Because now she's healthy and I don't have to worry about anything and I get to spend time with her. So it's just really scary. It's okay if your birth isn't what you expect. As long as they're here, you get them out how you can. She's a little space heater. Well, that's about all I wanted to talk about. I'll get into some more stuff later on. Talk to you guys about why I hadn't been posting in a while and why it took me, her being 5.5 weeks before I posted again. But I'll get into all of that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.